This is the Thursday, April 17th, 7:30 a.m. meeting of the building committee, middle school building committee. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right. So Alexa,
Present.
Heather Bout,
She's joining now.
Yeah,
She's here, but she has no audio.
There you go.
Heather, you're here? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sorry, my buttons aren't working. I'm here.
Okay.
I can't get on video. There we
Nothing
go.
a robot. Let's see, we have
Love you.
Peter Fishalis,
Yes, here.
Don Garelio. I see you, Don. Andrew Herchuk,
Present.
Tim Holt,
Present.
Lori Hunter,
Good morning.
Mark Howell,
Here.
Pat Nelson here, Chris Popov,
Good morning.
good morning, Charlie Parker. Is Charlie with us? I don't see Charlie. Okay. Matt Root
Morning.
and Steven Stashewski.
Hi, good morning.
Okay. So I think maybe before we start, we have some new people who've joined this meeting. Do we want to do some introductions? And I look to Lori and Gail to help me with that.
I'm looking here to just check in on who's on the call. I think any new folks might be on the Hill team. Ian, are any of the new folks on?
I saw Trevor.
Trevor's
Yeah,
here.
so
I see him.
Trevor's on. We've got Chris Simler that was going to join this morning. He's just to make an introduction. Chris is taking over the OPM division here in our Boston office. So you'll see more of Chris. Got a lot of experience in the industry. Came from Jacobs Engineering. So.
Okay. So we'll move to the approval of the meeting minutes, March 20th and April 3rd. Have people had a chance to look at those? Are they feeling comfortable with approving or not? Any changes?
Move to approve the meeting minutes of March 20th and April 3rd.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Okay. Second. All in favor?
All
I guess I have to call the roll again. Alexa,
Yep.
Heather,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Don Garelio.
Yeah.
Andrew Herchuk,
Yes.
Lori Hunter,
Yes.
Mark Howell,
Yes.
Pat Nelson, yes. Chris Popov,
Yes.
Charlie Parker, I see you've joined us. Charlie, do you want to vote in the affirmative or not for the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Matt Root
Yes.
and Steven Stashewski.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Correspondence, Heather.
Hi there. So we had a few emails since last time. Just three, whoops, sorry, they went away. Three since last time. One was a request for a site plan, one was a comment on connecting to the trail and back, and one was both a thanks and also a suggestion of kind of touching up the concrete foundations along the entrance because they're a little messy looking. And then in terms of communication, the ribbon cutting invite went out. Hopefully everybody got it. We are following up with certain people and groups specifically to make sure it really gets to everyone in town. We want everybody in town to know everyone is invited and welcome to come to the ribbon cutting. It should be very exciting. And actually I wanted to mention to all of you, if each of you can forward to your people and networks and everything, that would be great because this is a big, exciting event. We want to make sure everyone knows they're invited too. We're talking to the bridge, hoping that they will put it in as well, since it's an all community event. So that's that's all looking good. The sustainability article, we've held off on just because there's a lot of communication this week about not just from us on the ribbon cutting, but Concord 250, obviously. So we're gonna let that pass us this weekend, and do that probably next week. And I think that's it, unless anyone has anything else or I've missed anything. Okay.
So, Heather, I think I saw some emails going back and forth that may not have been falling under correspondence, but I just want to note how helpful Hill has been with some of the neighbors asking questions about the access to middle school, and I always saw that Vinny just responded right away, and that was really great. So I want to comment on that.
Okay.
Okay, OPM.
Great. Thank you, Pat. I will share my screen here. Okay. So we've got business as usual this morning. The exception of a few amendments that we need to review with you guys for SMMA, some of their sub-consultants and just professional services that we need for phase 2. So we'll go through that, and then Lori has an update on the playground equipment as well. So starting from the top here, we've got the budget summary. So this is probably similar to what we just reviewed the last time we met when we went over the change order, but we've got the forecasted cost here of $745,000. That does include the big change order that we reviewed in the last meeting. So that takes up the vast majority of forecasted costs on the construction side. They've got, $80.7 million for expenditures to date, and of 7.1 remaining there. All the designer services are reflective of the changes, the amendments that we're going to review today with you guys. I don't think there was any real updates on or changes in the administrative costs, other than just invoices that have been processed. And then kind of same with FF&E technology, just more invoices have come through. So the vast majority of those expenditures are behind us at this point, and we've got a few small balances, $316,000 in that category for balances there. So when you look at what's left, and we'll go through the contingency chart, but we've got 4.5 million in contingency, plus the other 2 below the line for the bid savings. So still a considerable amount of contingency left. Committed costs were at 103.7 million to date. Expenditures are 94.9 million. So that's just a big picture overview of budget summary. Any questions? Yep. Moving on to cash flow. We went through this exercise. Actually, Gail was with us when we went through this exercise. We did a budget reconciliation with Gail last week, and just made sure that all the books are in alignment, and talked about projections and that sort of thing for borrowing purposes. So we have projected out everything through the end of the project, and we're starting to push money into buckets where we don't think we're going to touch anything. This is an interesting request.
Clarify a little bit on that. What do you mean, pushing money into buckets?
Let me get
Ian,
it.
we don't have people out. Yeah, you just deny that. The recording will happen the way it does for all meetings.
Yeah. So this placeholder down here, this 4.2 is that unused contingency on bid day that we kind of set aside. We're starting to do the same thing for FF&E. We don't think we're going to spend all of that that category, so we just put a $500,000 placeholder down here of, instead of projecting it out, just putting it as what we project as going to be unspent monies. So does that make sense?
I guess, yeah.
So again, we've got 94.9 cumulative expenditures to date, and then just projecting out through the rest of the year to the 111.5 million.
And that includes all of the projected mitigation costs? Is that,
That's right.
and what did that eventually come out to in terms of the mitigation?
You're talking about the abatement?
No, I'm talking about the issues we ran into in the building related to, I guess it's asbestos. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, so that is included. That projection is here in the forecast.
Yeah,
So,
I asked that because those are questions that when people are sort of aware of that now, and I think it would be good for everybody to have a common number of what the magnitude of that was.
yeah, so we're, the committee set up a not to exceed amount of 485,000. So we're still in the process of finalizing that number. They really need to complete the work first so that we have all the disposal tickets in hand and we can reconcile the disposal values. So,
but
that's,
that number 495 is consistent with what their estimate was. Is that right?
yeah. I mean, we presented their estimate. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Jumping into contingency usage here. So we're at 43% utilized for the hard cost contingency. We've got 16% forecasted and another 41% remaining, which is 1.8, close to 1.9 million remaining in hard cost contingency. And then on the soft cost side, we're about split here with what we've used and what's remaining. There's 52% remaining, $454,000. So that's where we stand with contingency. TRC tracking log. We have a few commitments that we need to review today. Just some two change orders from CTA, 2 amendments from SMMA. So we'll go through those in detail in a little bit. As far as budget adjustments, we'll have to make those budget adjustments to reflect those changes. And then quite a bit of action on invoices. Since we last met, we have CTA's February requisition, a number of invoices from FF&E and technology are sprinkled in here. I'm just realizing that this actually cut off. So there's a third page of this that has the rest of the invoices. We had so many that they got cut off this time. So I'll fix that and send it back around. But there's another CTA invoice in here for the March requisition, and just reflecting all the payments made to date on the project. So And then any questions on the finance side before we jump into some of the amendments? Okay. So I'll talk about this one, and Jen, feel free to jump in as you see fit here. So essentially this is an amendment to hire niche engineering to provide professional engineering oversight during the continuation of the septic installation. So this came up during phase one. It's a condition of the Board of Health to have a professional engineer overseeing this process. And we talked about it towards the end of phase one. We determined that niche would be the best party to be able to provide those engineering services. It's something that they didn't plan for upfront. So we asked them to put together a proposal to cover that for their PE oversight and ultimately their stamp of approval for the installation of the system. So that's what this proposal's for. The total here is $20,350. It includes SMMA's markup for their sub-consultants as well. So that's an all-in number. And this would be a contingency draw. But again, it's something that is a must-have, a requirement of the Board of Health. So we just needed to present it today to get them those services accepted. So.
Obviously, it seems like the septic, given that we have occupancy and usage of the building for several months, it's probably complete, right?
No, so it's operating in a temporary state right now. So the septic system, as it stands, goes into a 13,000 gallon holding tank that is being pumped, every couple of days by.
I got it.
And taken to a wastewater facility.
Okay.
So
they got to do the final connection and get it into the field. Right? Yeah.
They do, yeah. Okay. So
thank you.
They're installing the leach field now. They have to do the final connection, like you said, the force main across the site.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Can I make a motion to approve the contingency draw of $20,350 as proposed?
I'm seeing Matt's hand up. Are you seconding it or?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to second. Sorry, Ian, why is it called, what is the 70 to 500 owner contingency? What does that mean exactly?
It's just it's just a number that we use for budget tracking. Okay. So owner's contingency is this line here. So it's a hit on the soft. It's a hit on the soft cost contingency here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second Steve's motion.
Yep.
Sorry to blurt in there, Pat.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry for cutting in, Pat. I should have.
Okay. That's okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve in a second.
Yes.
Alexa?
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, we do.
Yeah. Heather?
Yes.
Peter Fichalis?
Yes.
Don Gorelio?
Yeah.
Andrew Herchak?
Yes.
Tim Holt?
Yes.
Lori Hunter?
Yes.
Mark Howell?
Yes.
Pat Nelson, yes. Chris Popov?
Yes.
Charlie Parker?
Yes.
Matt Root?
Yes.
And Steven Stashewski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next amendment is for phase 2 geotechnical services. So just to give you a little background, when we first set up the project, we had this idea that the geotech engineer would cover some of the inspections and testing for soils and foundations and some of the hardscape areas on the job, and the testing agent would provide some of those services as well, mostly with the geotech focusing on the building footprint and phase one. So that was kind of always the plan. As we got into it, we ended up utilizing the geotech more so than the testing agent towards the end of phase one. They did exhaust their fee. The geotech exhausted their fee in phase one. So what we'd like to propose today is, we think that the geotech is best suited to continue these types of services and oversight for phase two. So instead of utilizing the testing agent to do that, we want to propose using McArdle Gannon for those services on phase two. So that's what this proposal is reflective of here. This is based off of CTA's projected schedule, just matching some of their dates. Don't think that these durations are going to be quite as long as what they're projecting here. So this number is probably high in that regard, but we just want to make sure that we're covered, so then we're not coming back for another ask here. This is the proposal is for $67,100 to cover those geotech services in phase two. What we would do is, FINA has is material testing agent. They're going to have a pretty significant amount of fee left in their services. We'll continue to utilize them on phase two for concrete testing and asphalt testing and other services as well. They're kind of an on-call type of professional services. So, but essentially, we anticipate having enough left in that bucket to cover this proposal here today. So it's kind of switching money around within the materials testing line for geotech services. So Jen, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I think just there's the confidence level with McArdle Gannon, and I know Vinny on site is relied on them a lot in phase one, and they were proved to sort of catch some deficiencies on site, and we're a good resource. So I think that's why we're proposing this today for phase two.
Dave, I see your hand up.
So if I understand Ian and the teams correctly, we discussed this on Tuesday as well. We have a material physical properties testing company in Finag who did the rebar concrete testing services throughout the construction of the building portion of the project. And we have quite a bit of funding available left in there, not to exceed contracts somewhere in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, I believe. So yeah, that work won't be totally, all that funding won't be expended. So we would take money from that budget then and reallocate it toward this geotechnical testing and inspection, which is more of the earth and the earthwork that's involved with digging and filling and being on site to verify compaction testing is completed correctly. And it's more of a civil engineering mindset for this proposed contractor, who has already been on site but has exceeded their anticipated original fee. And so therefore we need to increase their contract value with the funding that's available from the material testing company. And these two pieces are separate from the sort of design oversight of the force main work that the health department is requiring, which we just talked about, right? So those are the three buckets. Is that?
No, that's right. Yep.
Thank you. Could I make a motion then to approve?
Well, I see Mark's hand up.
Just a question. So then why is this memo say the owner's contingency will be used if really it's shift between two different contractors?
Yeah, so mechanically, we can't, we can't liquidate any of that PO at this time for FINA. We still need them for services. So we have to keep their contract open through the end of phase 2 before we would realize any of those savings that are anticipated. So right now it would be a contingency draw to cover those services for McDonald Gannon, and then once we're at the end of phase 2, we could replenish those contingency monies.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Alexa, I see your hand up.
So am I to understand this is like sort of like a three-way transfer? Because we can't close the contract, we're drawing owner's contingency, but upon conclusion of the geotechnical services, that will get replenished from the remaining bucket. I think that's what Ian just said, but
Yes.
okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, do I hear a motion to approve?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Alexa,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Pat, yes, Chris,
Yes.
Charlie Parker,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and Stephen.
Yes, thanks.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, so we got 2 change orders for CTA, 2 small changes. So Jen, you want to jump in and go over these?
Sure. Yep, so change order 47 is just 4 minor electrical changes as we were closing out phase 1. PCO 118 is just related to swapping an exterior camera with a strobe. The camera was located pretty low on the building and just wanted to be able to swap it to a different location, just to get out of the way of middle school children that might be jumping up and trying to hit it. So it was a minor swap, and that was $1,600, $1,676. The next one, PCO 119, was just modifying the receptacle in the kiln room. As you know, we're net zero building, and there's energy code requirements related to the outlets, and certain outlets are occupancy controlled and shut off after a certain period. But so originally in that room, that was an occupancy controlled outlet. So we swapped that out so that it was a not controlled, and that outlet would not shut off. So that was $1,253. PCO 119.1 is just removing an exit sign. This was at the fire department's request at their walkthrough. So that was $236. This is actually a unit price cost. So, and then PCO 119.2 is just removing a couple light fixtures on the stage that were in conflict with one of the curtains. That again was $236. So the total of this change order is $3,402.85.
Yep.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Next change order 48. PCO 124 is just related again to some additional signage that was requested by the fire department at the end of phase 1. So this was a total of $827.19. And PCO 127 is we had made some revisions to the items that we had originally anticipated being salvaged. When we did a walkthrough at the beginning of phase 2, some of the items that we thought we might want to salvage, after taking a look at it again, we decided that we would not salvage particular items. So it's just a savings actually. of $4,065.59. So this change order is actually a credit of $3,238.40. Any questions?
Okay, so those are the two change orders, right?
Correct. Yep.
So let's vote on accepting those. No, we don't need to, do we? Because there's
No,
Nope.
yeah, these went through the TRC, so we're good.
the TRC. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Last part here of our presentation is just the construction update. So talking through progress on site, phase 1 for the new building. So SMMA went back through the building and has done back punch at this point. So I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on with what you're seeing for punch list to date, Jen, but I know Andy was out there yesterday doing that. So
Yeah, no, I think we're in good shape, and yeah, so I think we're in good shape, and we've got CTA in a place where, you know, they understand the scope of punch list work they need to do next week during April vacation.
Yep. Yeah, that was kind of the big push of understanding what was done, what's remaining, so CTA can line up work accordingly next week. So that will be the focus of next week during vacation is punch list work in the building. There'll be some things happening on the exterior as well, including landscaping, just trying to button up some of the plantings and whatnot during this season. They've also got commissioning work scheduled next week as well, to try and push that forward a little further. Auditorium. So we hit another milestone last week with getting a TCO for the auditorium. We got that last Friday. So, you know, kudos to the team for pushing that along and getting that space ready and open for use. Heard that there was a successful event there on last Friday. So, and being used this week. So glad to see that turnover of space. They do have some work to complete still in the auditorium. If you meander in there, you'll see that there's no carpet yet. So that's one thing that is outstanding that needs to be done. And then they'll also be commissioning the sound and stage lighting and doing any punch list items in there. So a few more things to button up the auditorium, but it is ready for use. So phase 2, we've got interior abatement, asbestos abatement is complete. We've got the sign off there from the hygienist. The change order work that we spoke about on the exterior, the flashing, that commenced on 4/11. So that's in progress. Things are going good there. They've started selective demolition of the building. You can see through the building at this point from side to side with, you know, all the removals they've done. They're projecting completion in mid-May. So, you know, once they get the abatement done around the perimeter of the building, it's going to go down pretty quickly. The new leach field is complete. The old leach field was removed, including the holding tank that was there. All the temporary parking that we installed early on in the job has been removed on that side of the project. They're doing some cut and fill activity over there. CC, the site work contractor, has done that. And they've gotten a certain portion of the force main complete, just waiting on the building to come down. That path of the force main is right through the existing building. So they gotta get the building down and then they'll get the force main through that area. So that's our construction update. Show you some photos here of just the abatement process. So they're set up for a non-traditional work plan, so they don't have, again, the traditional containment. So they keep things watered down. They want to keep the particles out of the air, essentially. And they have these containment mats that they put down, plastic that they put down to move material around, and then they also line the trucks as they send off this material that has asbestos in it. So that's the exterior wall abatement. Building demo, just some snaps of where we're at with demolition. The modulars are completely gone. We've got piles of debris just that need to be loaded and taken off site, but things are getting broken down and sorted and hauled off site as we speak. So leach field and site work. So this is on the far side of the existing building. So you've got the leach field installation here, and then they've cleared out this parking area, graded this out, did some of the force main. So they've made good progress on this side of the site already. So that's the update I had for you guys today. Any questions?
I don't see any hands. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll,
playground.
Yep, hand it over to Lori.
Great, thank you.
Do you want me to pull up the drawing as we're
Yeah,
going?
actually, that'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you. And Justin's going to speak to some of this as well, since he was the front line with students and in the design work with the playground vendor. So this is the updated rendering of the vision. You can see it's, Justin, do you want to hop in? It's 2 Gaga pits and a climbing piece.
Yep. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you.
So, I guess I'll just reiterate what Dr. Hunter just shared. This entire design was informed by our student building committee. And as a reminder, our student building committee are current 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students who have been aligned with this project and working in partnership and concert with all of you since they've been in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So, which is pretty special because not only were they a part of the transition into the new building, they will be a part of our ribbon cutting in early May. And they continue to have agency and voice in even phase 2 of this project. So they were really focused on having some climbing structures because they really enjoyed the climbing structure that we had at Sanborn. And then they were also very much interested in a game that is trending in all middle schools and upper elementary schools across the country, which is called Gaga Ball. Which is pretty fierce and competitive. So that is where they sort of landed, in a price range that was given to them and to us.
So just to follow up on that, we've got a estimate from the vendor for $90,408. That's inclusive of the mulch. In addition to that, we want to be sure we're meeting ADA compliance, which would, we're going to address that through mats that can be laid over top of the mulch for another $3,000. So it's the combination of those two that we'd like to move forward with. Obviously, the students drove the vision, the space dictated some of the options for sure. But we are grateful for the support and would like to have you consider approval of this.
Any questions? Matt, I see your hand up.
I guess, Justin, I just have a question. So the current play structure there is very tall, right? And this is a very different structure or setup than what is currently there. And I guess I'm wondering if you can speak to the difference.
Sure. So I was involved in the fundraising of the current very tall play structure. This was back, I believe, in winter of 2018. We were really only informed by student surveys at that time. They definitely wanted climbing structures. What we never anticipated though is, when we installed that, very middle school appropriate, very tall climbing structures. What we didn't anticipate is the community use and the really younger aged use of kids accessing and being drawn by that very, very tall play structure that was most recently at Sanborn. So, and I'm very proud that the student building committee named that. They named the fact that where the plot of all these play structures are going to be in a place where they can be seen from the town soccer fields or the soccer fields that are going to be in front of our building. So we really believe all of these play structures, younger kids are going to be drawn to them. So the current student building committee wanted to take, the concept of a very tall play structure and bring it down and make it a little bit more wide and safer for a younger age group.
Great. Thank you, Justin. I guess I don't have a strong opinion here. I just wonder a lot. I mean, Gaga is an awesome game, and I love its multi-age applicability. I want it in my experience, it's a setup that can be added relatively easily in other kind of after the fact. And I wonder if that's something that we want to consider. Is this the appropriate time to be doing the Gaga pits, or if we add those later on? I see 2 Gaga pits, and there's a lot of real estate that's going to that. And I just wonder if that's the focus right now, or if it's something we add later. But just my notes.
So Justin, you just wanted to, Matt, you just wanted to throw that out, not necessarily get a response.
Unless Justin has feedback, yeah. I mean, that's just my immediate reaction.
Justin, do you want to comment on that or no?
Yeah, I guess the only comment I'll have is, the vendor that we used, shared so many choices that the kids had available to them. And the kids just kept coming back, to the Gaga pits. When you look at the price structure of it all, you can even buy a Gaga pit, from Amazon for cheaper. But I think you get what you pay for. So we had a couple Gaga pits that didn't really last over at the 6th grade building in Peabody. And sometimes when things don't last, they kind of fizzle away, and you don't have, kids saying, when are we going to get a new one? When are we going to get a new one? But in my tenure over in both buildings, there was a pretty intense focus on, Mr. Cameron, I know the Gaga pit was hit by the plow, when are we going to get a new one? So, I think it was just the design was really led by the kids. I kind of was like, hey, what about a basketball court? Let's focus, because that's me, and I love basketball. And they were like, yeah, that's nice, Mr. Cameron. Can we have more than one Gaga pit?
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Dawn, you have your hand up?
I have a question. Remind me where on the site this is. You said it's visible from the fields, Mr. Cameron. I guess I'm wondering. I'm just trying to imagine, so compared to the building, where is it? It's just a curiosity question.
Yeah, I think I have it in my mind, but I'm going to turn it over.
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
It's basically
one of us
just,
has the site map.
yeah, I actually can pull up a site plan if you want, and just
Yeah,
show
it'd be
you.
great, Jen. Thanks.
Okay.
Where is it related to Mount Kilimanjaro? Is my question. Do you know? Has anyone heard that? No. My
It's
daughter's
basically
in
just
Kelly. It's that big hill.
It
for
is.
A
social
big
studies
mound
teacher.
of dirt.
yeah, which will go away. That's just
Yeah.
the stockpile right now.
I think it's
But if
right
I
there.
can share,
Yep.
I think you might have to let me, okay, there we go. All right. Can you all see this site plan? So this is
Oh,
the
there it is,
building.
yep.
Right here is the classroom wing. So it's just north of that. So there is a slope.
Oh, it's under the pile. Yeah, it's right there. All right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the site of where the playground would be, and you can see the fields up here, just in Old Marlborough Road to the
Yeah.
north.
And remind me, is there like a paved walkway that
Yes.
gets to that? What? Okay. Oh, there it
Yep,
is.
so there's
the
an
gray.
accessible
Okay.
walkway that will get you to each of these.
Okay. It was more curiosity. I just hadn't focused so much on the site plan. That's great.
Yep.
And I guess I will just plug, when I saw 2 Gaga pits, I was like, oh my God, that's great. Cause I have a 6th grader and a 4th grader, and they both are Gaga ball fans. So I was not surprised being a parent of kids that are this age group. I'm in full support of there being 2, because there's probably lines at the elementary school for the single ones that are there. That's all, Pat.
Okay. Lori, are you looking for an approval of a budget? What's my next step here?
Yeah, I think that would be best if the committee's willing.
I think Tim has his hands up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim?
Oh, yeah, I'll be quick. I think it's great. I think once you give kids agency in the process, which I think was really great, I think it's incumbent to listen and to reinforce that with support of what their ideas are, assuming it's, safe. And I think this is the right decision. So let's do it.
So what's the motion to approve?
Yeah, what's the motion?
What's the total, Lori?
So
I know you said-
90, sorry, I didn't add up the 2 numbers here.
Somewhere like 94,000.
It's about 94,000, yeah. 3218 plus 90,408. So,
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the change order for the new playground for, what'd you say, 3208 plus 92, sorry.
3218 and 90,408.
Okay. What she just said, I'll make a motion to approve those 2 in additive.
Second.
Okay, Alexa?
She had to drop.
Yeah,
Oh,
she may
she's
be
on.
off.
Heather?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes,
Mark?
he had to go hop off.
Okay. Pat? Yes. Chris Popov?
Yes.
Charlie Parker?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And Stephen?
You have to drop 2, Pat.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it looks like it passes. Justin, are you still with us?
I am, yeah, my home base just
Okay.
walked in, but I have like 30 more seconds.
Okay, in 30 seconds, could you just give us an update on what's delighted everyone about this new building and anything you might want us to think about when we do it again? Just 30 seconds, that's all.
Sure. Well, there's many answers to that. I think a lot of the natural light and the flex spaces, the opportunities for students to flex out of not only academic settings, but social settings, have been a game changer.
Great.
Those are 2 things that come to mind immediately.
That is so wonderful to hear.
That bridge is turning into one of those flex spaces, and kids are spilling out there during lunch with Justin's blessing, and really turning into another option for kids who find the big cafeteria too much or just want a little bit of a niche there. That's what I've been enjoying recently, because that's one of the newer things that's evolved, but it's amazing. And getting in the auditorium has been fantastic this week. So we have nothing but good things to say, pretty much. So.
My home base just wants to say hello and thank you.
Oh, very good. There we go.
Hello,
Hi,
home
guys.
base.
They're 8th graders, so I don't know if we should tell them that the playground equipment you just approved, the timing of such.
Probably.
Thank you,
Yeah, I don't
everybody.
know how they might have to come visit it, Mr. Cameron.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. Is there any other new business?
Peter's
I
got
have
his
one
hand
thing-
up.
I have just one thing I would want to bring up on, this is Tim.
Yeah,
On Wednesday, I drove down the road and there was this significant traffic issue, okay, in terms of access. It seemed to be probably around release, but I'm not certain, but it was pretty, there was like a construction guy out there trying to handle the cars, and it wasn't good. I just want to make sure that wasn't
So,
I don't think that it is. I hope that it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with construction or what happened on Wednesday. But I just wanted to mention that because a recurrence would not be great.
so I'm happy to give you some updates on that. It is the way it is at dismissal every day. We've worked, I don't know, endlessly with the Concord police. They've told us how they want it to be. So after 2 or 3 iterations in February and early March, the plan is to line parent pickup along the opposite side of the street because the straightaway is there, and it allows for more visibility of the line. The police are there when they can be. They were on site for almost a month, full blown. That person directing traffic is one of the middle school staff who's been trained as a crossing guard and trained to do that position. And that's why he's in the yellow vest, because he's officially out there to help with the management of it all. Some of what we've progressed to is parent pickup now pulls, once the kids come out, we move the buses, so they're only in the 2 parallel spots, and they're not taking any of that frontage along the front sidewalk. Initially, they were. By doing that and getting the buses pulled up more, we're able to pull the parents all the way into the front door along the entire length of the school. And that's making dismissal go much faster. So Tim, what you saw is quick now. That's been some of what the police wanted us to get to, was that line queues up but moves really quickly once we hit dismissal. None of us think it's perfect. And I think the challenge is there is no perfect solution. We talked at length, parents queued up in front of, along that road forever when Sanborn was an operating building, just on the other side. It's the position of the driveway and the corner there, and just trying to do it as safely as possible. But no doubt it's a challenge and one we continue to look at, but this is the plan the police wanted. We have totally gone by their direction. So you're not wrong, Tim. It's been an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing because I drove by there and it certainly was a little bit of a mess. And so, Lori, if I understood you correctly, you're saying that they're going to line them up on the opposite side of the road, on the sidewalk. Is that where they
So
would
they are
line up?
lining up now. They're not lining up on the building side of the street. They're lining up across the street along the wooded area there. That's what the police wanted, was it across from the building and not on the same side of the building the way it used to be because of the corner. We did a couple days of it there and it was backing up down the corner, and it was really dangerous. People coming around the corner couldn't see the backup, and I totally agreed it couldn't stay that way. I acknowledge a hesitance by the police that we probably share to queue people up into the neighborhoods. That's been an ongoing discussion as well as to whether Captain, I forget the name of the street right there, Captain's, anyway.
Captain Miles.
Yeah, Captain Miles or Deacon, look, I'm totally blanking on the names. They're so unique.
Deacon Haynes.
Thank you, Deacon Haynes. Those have been in discussion. We know the neighborhood's not gonna like that for good reason. There's just not perfect solutions, so.
It almost seems like a longer term plan might be to pave a lane on the opposite side and move the sidewalk further in, to do that, because there is no good solution, and it does seem like it was a little bit of a struggle to get people in and out. Anyway, just wanted to note that.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's about a 10 or 15-minute issue, pretty much daily. Wednesdays are the worst because of the earlier dismissal. We see more parent pickup for multiple reasons. I think Dawn and Alexa are going to weigh in as parents who sit in the line. Go ahead.
Did I see you recently, Alexa? No,
Yeah.
I do sit in it on Wednesdays, and it has
Yeah.
gotten better, and the double queuing does work. So
Yeah.
from someone who sat in it right when it opened and to yesterday, as recently as yesterday, it is better. And as a parent, I know where I need to go, and it makes all the sense. So as someone that's driving by that might not know, it could seem confusing and chaotic, but it actually has gotten a lot better. I actually was going to weigh in on the previous what Justin was saying about the spaces in the building and just share that a couple weeks ago, the PTG had a meeting that they offered tours, and I've been in the building, right, like a bunch of times, but I've never been in there with kids learning. So I took the opportunity to just incognito as a parent, join the PTG, meet some of the ladies and parents that are involved, and just toured it and wanted to see it with students in it. What a great space. The kids were like, as they were changing to go to snack, and there were just kids everywhere. It was so great to see. We just stood at the upper floor of the bridge and kind of watched and spectated and poked our head into rooms. And it was amazing. That's like my favorite thing to do as a architect, is like to see it in its real element, which is with kids learning during the day. They don't know that we're there. And I just tried to be like a fly on the wall and watch it, since I hadn't seen it with students in it. It was great to see. So just wanted to share that if anyone has any opportunities, I just did it because I'm a parent and got to go to the PTG meeting. I haven't happened to be free, but I wanted to share how great it was to see students learning there. It's amazing.
This is so great to hear. I really love this. I just have to ask, because I'm of that generation, how is are the buses filled to capacity? Are people using the buses? Is this something that might encourage
You
families
folks
to
really
use
want to
the
go
buses?
down this
I
discussion?
don't want to
with
go
me?
down it, but I just was curious. Is it still something that we
Yeah.
think about and
I mean, this is an ongoing discussion. This is a community that likes to have its choices and make its own
Yeah.
decisions. We have a lot of kids on buses. We have parent pickup for a wide range of reasons. Our kids are very active, very busy, going places. We actually saw some relief because our extracurricular program is so active that Wednesdays tends to be the bigger day because we don't have extracurriculars because of the early release. We are encouraging bus use, as we always have.
Yeah.
We're also revisiting our bus transfer process to see if we can become more flexible with the buses.
I was
There's
going to say
still-
that's an issue. You can't
Oh,
like,
we're
get-
trying.
Yeah, that's
on,
what I
like-
have my hand up about. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
you can't like.
we're talking about it. It's not as simple as it sounds, of course. I'll loop back to transportation and Justin and see where we are in that.
Yeah. Because
But
kids
And
used to
I'll
be
just-
able to transfer, and then it changed sort of recently, correct?
no, it changed after COVID and we've never gone
Right.
back.
Well, yeah,
That's
recently.
3 or 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
So
And I'll
it
share
is
that
driven by
I
capacity. So just, if you don't mind me finishing, we have to get
Sure.
a whole system together because we have to know the capacity of every bus. Then we have to match every request for where it goes on the buses and decide if we can take that individual request on a day-to-day basis. So it requires a system that we just haven't gotten up and running yet. So we'll get working on it. I thought they were working on it. I don't know where we at.
Sounds like there's room there. That's great. Heather, you have your hand up. Alexa, do you?
Yeah, it
I'm
was
done.
just quick comments, but when I was gonna add on in the lineup after school discussion, only very minor, that having done that in years past when we were lining up along the side of the school, I always felt it a little dangerous. Basically, people were always coming from, the direction towards town and then doing these U-turns to get into the line. So I just wanted to say the fact that they have them lined up on the other side going in that direction, to me, makes a lot of sense. And if you haven't been through the experience, that you might not think of that, but it was lots of crazy U-turns to get into line. And so it's nice that we're avoiding that. But the other bigger thing that I wanted to say is just both when Justin was talking about the experience in the school and then when you were, Dawn, I was just getting chills the whole time. And I just wanted to share, like, it's really neat to hear those experiences and hear what it's like for the students. And so I'm just appreciating all of you and all that we've done, and the fact that that's all coming to life. So just love that. Thank you.
Ditto. I can't see the top of the screen, so does anybody else have their hand up?
I don't see anyone, Pat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other new business? No. Public comment? Public comment?
Shelley Carlin has her hand up. Pat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dawn. Shelley?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am a member of the sustainability committee at the middle school, and we met with Dr. Hunter and Jennifer and Eric Mangsness a couple weeks ago to talk about the rail trail connection to the campus. And the part of the campus we were looking at was the southeast corner. And it was considered sort of unviable as a choice because of the trees and the slope and whatnot. And so a nature trail is being considered there. So the area I would like to talk about, though, is the area behind the Sanborn building, where there's sort of a maintenance access road from the lower fields to the campus. Because of the scope of the project, where the line's been drawn to end the design work on the eastern side there, that the use case for that area and the access hasn't been considered as part of plans. And what's on the plans right now is an eastern facing slope with it's plans to be seeded with grass, and it's going to be shady next to a pine forest, and how well grass grows there. And then the kids bike up that path, and so it's just going to get completely eroded. So it's because ideally a plan to incorporate a connection possibly at that point would be considered as part of your design, even if it were like a 3-phase project or something. Some thought, I feel, needs to be put into that section of the campus to reflect the actual use case, even if no plans are going to be put in for the Bruce Freeman to be connected there at some point. And I've been told that's out of the scope of this committee, but because by Pat in communications. But if you actually look at that section, it's going to be, I mean, it's within the scope, even with the current edge of the plan lines.
Thank you, Shelley. I know we have heard your comments, and I think we will continue to hear them. Thank you. Anybody else?
Pat, I don't know if it's helpful for Jen just to give a brief. We've talked on this request for well over
okay,
a
absolutely.
year now. I just think it's important to keep sharing publicly what we've come up with, because it is coming up in multiple forums, and I just want to be sure accurate information is out there. Shelley's right. We talked with them and tried to explain what the options were and the challenges. So I think it's helpful if the committee hears those, just so you all have the same information.
Yeah, I apologize. I was just letting a plumber in my house. So, but the discussions that we did have, it is challenging to get from our perspective, basically sort of not possible to get an accessible path down to that path without considerable amount of clearing of trees and infrastructure, anywhere throughout the southern or the part of the site. And I don't know specifically, Shelley, what portion of the site you were just talking about, but I think we did look at a couple different locations, and I think even one of the areas, it's off our property. We were looking at an area to the south. So, in our opinion, it's without some significant infrastructure and clearing of trees, it's not really possible to get an accessible path down there.
Pat, can I just weigh in?
Yeah, please do, Doug.
So I think Shelley's talking about the area that's, I think it's like quasi paved or maybe it's gravel right now. I can't remember. It takes you down to the lower field where like cross country runs.
Yeah.
So it's, I want to say it's like a 10 or 12 foot vertical change, which would require an over 200 foot
Right.
sort of 1 in 20 accessible walkway. Not a ramp. A ramp we could cover in 1 in 12, but that would require significant, probably retaining walls and whatnot and switchbacks. And when you have ramps, you need landings every 30 feet. So anyway, it's not impossible. It's just cost prohibitive, I would think, because the amount of trees that we need to get rid of to cover 200 linear feet and the switchback of getting it down there. So there was a decision, and this goes back tons of years. I don't remember how long we've been working on this project, but to exclude that lower field since no work was being done down there, to exclude it out of the scope of the actual project. And so if anyone, whoever's been on this committee for all these years, you might remember that. So I had a conversation with Shelley at that PTG meeting that I mentioned. So it's not that we don't want to provide access, and I understand that what's there and what's being proposed could at some point become a safety issue. It's really hard to make it accessible. And once you do work, you need to do that. So it's kind of a catch-22. And I think I brought it to Dr. Hunter's attention after the conversation. And I think the idea is to keep the conversation going. I don't know that it can be covered under this project scope unless this committee decided to do so, and that we would have the money to do it, but we don't even have costs or design or anything related to it because we made a decision early on that that would be outside of the scope of this project. That's all.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, hope that was helpful. We don't usually respond to citizens' comments at meetings, but I think thank you very much for allowing that at this time. Okay, any other public comment? Next steps?
We've got a meeting in May, 3rd week of May. Pull it up here. It's May 15th is the next meeting date.
And I think we can adjourn and everyone can get on with their day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.